I thought I'd advertise this widely enough, but nobody's here live, and that's okay. Clearly, people are busy, things like that. So I'm going to mute new participants. And in fact, I don't want participants to unmute themselves in this one. So, welcome. I wanted to do this today to speak to you about the energies because I was writing my post this morning and realized that, and yesterday and over the last few days, but really this morning, I realized there's just so much going on, and it's, I've heard people saying this is the worst Mercury station and all that kind of stuff. And, there's a lot of fears about, we think, talked about it before, we think the world's kind of going to hell in a handbasket, but really it's not. There's a lot, there's a lot going right too. But I felt like this was needed. So, first of all, Mercury stationed officially direct this morning at 7:58 a.m. Mountain. So that's 9:58 a.m. Eastern, 6:58 a.m. Pacific. And I cannot remember what time zone the UK's on, but I think there are only 4. I think they changed clocks at the end of the month. So I think it might be 1:58 p.m. that Mercury stationed direct, and it's stationed direct at 16 degrees and 6 minutes. And I'm going to share. Hi. So I'm having everybody muted for now. Nice to have you here, though. And you'll have to put in the chat box when I do questions, because I've elected not to have participants able to unmute themselves, just so this is fairly clean. So you have to excuse me. I've just come back from yoga, getting my Zen on. Very, very zitty. All the Mercury retrograde seems to be bringing stuff out from under the skin, so that's good too. It's just the way it is. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the energies in more detail than I could possibly do in writing. And I'm kind of going to set you up, I hope, kind of for the next few days to help you to tune into the energies. And I'm going to give you we're going to do a couple of little breathing exercises and things to help you tune in, because I believe this is really a peak of kind of crisis energy this year, amongst other peaks, okay? But this one is particularly kind of concentrated. A lot of what we're talking about is leading to the Saturn-Pluto conjunction in January 2020 that you'll hear a lot of astrologers talking about. The patriarchy and our institutions and the rules we live by are all being challenged and are all under kind of duress, if you like. The good that I see beneath it, and I talked to my good friend Jen, who I do the podcast with, about this, is, we talk about what's happening in the political world and, the threat to Obamacare and all these things. The only good I can see underneath it is that this will make space for something better to come along. But I do think it's going to have challenges and pain along the way. So I'm going to share. What am I going to share first? I actually want to share this picture first and talk to you about this and just do a little bit of breathing into it. So I hope you're okay with that. So if you'd like to just look at this picture. This woman, Kat Kissick, this is from Instagram. She's on Facebook as well. I found her art somewhere, and her art's very joyful. And And I take note of everything that's happening around me when I'm preparing my writing and my calls. I don't ignore any synchronicities. And this came up on my Instagram feed last night, and I saved it because I liked it. And then in yoga, in my Kundalini class this morning, we were talking about expanding our space. So I'm going to give you the little breathing exercise that we did in yoga this morning. I'm kind of going to amend it to fit how I think it should be done. But I want you to put your both feet on the ground and close your eyes. And then I want to put your both hands. Can you see me? My video is on, so hopefully you can see me. Both hands on your belly, one on kind of on your diaphragm and one right on your belly. And close your eyes. And I want you to breathe out with a soft ah. I want to feel your belly contracting in with the navel point going back towards the spine as you breathe out. And then when your breath naturally wants to come back in, I want to feel your diaphragm and your belly expanding like a big balloon and taking up space. And I want you to do this a couple of times. Breathe out with a soft ah. Feel the belly contracting. And then breathe in. Feel it expanding like a big balloon. Even rub your belly. Feel it. And then breathe out with a soft ah. Then allow the breath back in again, expanding. And why was I drawn to do this? Well, because I followed the nudges. But also, I believe in this changing time, we are being called really to take up space. And I'll talk more about that as we look at the energies. So I'm going to get my chart up. So, yeah, hallelujah, Mercury is direct. Well, you know, as I said in this morning's post, if you read it, it's not necessarily completely hallelujah as yet, because we have Mercury here stationed at 16 degrees and 6 minutes. And, you know, normal Mercury stations take about 5 days to start really moving forward. And this is no different. This is the same. We have Mercury will start to slowly move forward and then gather speed. But as I've been talking about all week in my posts, Mercury is joined at the hip with Neptune right now. And Mercury will not pass. In fact, I need to get my my blog post up from this morning to look at the dates again, because Mercury will not conjunct Neptune until, let me just get that up to get the dates again, because I have just come from yoga, so I'm kind of, well, 30 minutes ago. But April the 2nd, Mercury will actually conjunct Neptune again, exactly at 17 degrees and 8 minutes of Pisces. And then will not really officially kind of separate from Neptune, which means move away from, until really around April the 6th or 7th, when Mercury moves beyond 2 degrees away from Neptune. And you know, Mercury will still be in the shadow right until Mercury leaves Pisces, basically on April the 19th. So we're not kind of out of this this confusion, this fog, until really the middle of April, okay, until April the 19th, when Mercury moves into Aries. Because so you know, everybody going, hey, Mercury's direct, do this, do that. Well, I'm not saying don't live, but I'm saying ease into it. We're still in this space of dream, compassion, fantasy, and imagination. We're also still in this space of fear and escapism and addictions and suffering. So I've been feeling a lot of fear in the in the aura of whatever you call it. And I'm also getting a lot of messages that people are having a hard time. I kind of feel bad because I promised a couple of people I would quickly look at their charts, and I haven't yet. So this is for them too. You know, I've kind of been in my own fog of confusion as it is, because this is squaring Mercury and Neptune are squaring my Sagittarius stuff, and I've been in la la land. So I'm surprised I'm managing to write every day. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about that, and about how that's going to move forward over the next few days. I also want to talk more about this, because as we speak, as this call really kind of started, sorry, I'm just going back. Didn't mean to hop forward. As this call started, the moon is starting to approach Saturn, okay, and will eclipse Saturn again, like it has done. It will do every month this year. It's called an occultation, and it's going to occult Pluto, and then it's going to connect with the South Node. And then as well, I want you to look at all of this energy with this Grand Cross here. And look at this, 23 degrees the nodes are at now. 23 degrees Pallas Athena is at now. And 23 degrees Eris is at now. And if we look at the degrees around, then we've also got Pluto at 22 degrees, almost at 23 degrees, because there's 60 minutes in an astrological degree, 60 solar arc minutes, okay? We've also got Jupiter, 24 degrees. So again, more of this kind of energy around 23 degrees. We have Lilith over here, Black Moon Lilith, also at around the 23 degree mark, and she goes back and forth very quickly. So you'll see that as we go over the next few days. We've also got Hygeia here at 24 degrees. And, you know, if we spread it a little further, we have asteroid Astraea, goddess also at 26, Sedna at 26. Over here, and doesn't show on this software, we, oh, thank you for coming, everybody. I see a few people here. Welcome. We also have, what's not showing because it's not on this software is we have dwarf planet Haumea, Haumea, at 26 degrees Libra, and she represents rebirth. And asteroid Lilith, I'm not actually sure exactly what degree she's at the moment, but she's around here as well. There are 3 Liliths. Okay, we have Black Moon Lilith, which most astrologers use. We have asteroid Lilith, which a lot of evolutionary astrologers use, and then we have a dark moon Lilith, which is not really as commonly used. So we have a lot going on. So really, I just want to kind of take you through the weekend. I do feel that I may do a couple more of these. Probably I might do one on Monday if I get time. And then, you know, things are starting to ease a bit, but we're really at a big change point at the moment. So let me just get my moon aspects up so that I can kind of guide you through this day and forward. And I'm going to go slowly, and I'm going to talk about what it means. Okay, so we go through to about 3:47 this afternoon, and the moon, first of all, aspects Mercury that's stationed. So we're getting all this energy kind of triggering each other. Okay, and you'll see this more and more. So the moon will first make a sextile aspect to Mercury and then Neptune, and this is just before the moon literally eclipses Saturn and Pluto. So to my mind, because the moon rules Cancer, our north node, our karmic potential, our dharma, if you like, in Buddhist terms, our soul potential. As a collective, we're really being asked to remember that we are all one big family, and to move to really validating and acknowledging the kind of more emotional, creative energy of ourselves, instead of this patriarchal, everything has to be this way, these rules, this is how it works, and it's all rational and factual. So we have, the Mercury, our mind, is our kind of rational brain, is being dissolved by Neptune, whilst the moon that rules the north node is triggering this first of all, and then, as we can see, it moves forward. I'll point at it when I stop, don't worry. So, for us in the West Coast here, it's really kind of while we're in bed tonight, the moon is going to occult Saturn again and then move on to occult Pluto. I can give you exact times if you kind of want to tune in before you go to bed, okay? So the Mercury sextile to, the moon sextile to Mercury is at 3:48 p.m. Mountain. These are all Mountain times because, I'll have to let you do timeanddate.com. This is all recorded, by the way. And the moon sextile Neptune is at 5:33 p.m. Mountain. So that's kind of setting us up for, in this evening, we're going into this very emotional, kind of liquid shifting space. If you can, this evening, I would do some meditation or some preparation for some dream work tonight, because I think the dreams are going to be off the charts over the next few days with Mercury joined at the hip, as I like to say, to Neptune, really for the next over a week. Okay, and then at 11 p.m. Mountain exactly, the moon occults Saturn. At 5:35 a.m. Mountain, the moon occults Pluto. And then the moon continues in Capricorn until the moon will then move on to make a trine to Mars before going void for a short while tomorrow evening and moving into Aquarius. So I'll talk a bit more about that as we move forward. But first, for the next 24 hours, ignore any posts that just go, Mercury is direct, Yahoo. I mean, yes, Yahoo, because we're starting to move forward from what has been a very intense retrograde, but it's been quite magical in many ways. But I do see that the next few days, with all the other changes coming up that I'm going to talk about, are going to put, I don't know if you've got anybody, oh, there's a chat thing here. Okay, let me see. Can I discuss? Yes, I can. Yes, I'm going to. Yeah. Let me get there. There's a lot to talk about. Okay. So the next, if anybody watched Kai Patcher's Paley report today or yesterday, he reduced it. It was kind of, he was going where he's kind of like me. We like to, be always like positive, look forward and things. But there's a lot of darkness coming up here. I suggest you go and watch Pele's, the Pele report, Kai Patcher's Pele report as well. But, there's a lot of fear and illusion and delusion involved in Pisces energy. So this is being triggered by the moon. It's going to bring us a lot of fear, I think, around what's happening in our ruling institutions, not just in the USA, but a lot of places. We're seeing a lot of nastiness, or as his mantra for the week said, bile being brought up and cleansed. And but its bile is noted to be kind of foul tasting and nasty, but it comes from the liver, as the liver's cleansing. So also a good practice for this energy over the next while, I would say, is to take perhaps some liver cleansing herbs, to not, if you drink alcohol, who am I to say? I like wine, I like this, but it's actually kind of a good time to go easy on your liver and to eat nice liver cleansing foods. I'm not an expert on what they are, but I do know that a lot of these extreme diets are not good for the liver. So I suggest kind of eating kind of, I'm going to say quite bland things for a little while, kind of be on a little bit of a cleanse, even do a gentle liver cleanse if necessary, because all this kind of nastiness, this kind of murky, kind of swampy, a little squeeze of lemon in your water, there you go, that'll help too. I'm sure there's lots of remedies as well. I did used to know about a couple of herbs that were good as well. But just be gentle on your body and your soul over the next few days, because there is a lot of kind of murky, fiery, gunky, I'm going to say demonic in milk thistle. That's the one. I couldn't think of the name. Thank you, Susanna. Milk thistle, great herb for cleansing livers. And I just couldn't think of the name. But I just think it's a time to really look after yourself first, so you have the strength and the courage to move through all this with ease and not fall into the trap of fear, which is the shadow of all this energy. Because both the shadow of Pisces is kind of, Pisces is really the fear of the unknown, fear of not being able to see clearly, fear of letting go, fear of surrender, all that kind of energy. And then to move to Capricorn, this is all fear of not doing it right, not being enough, not being good enough, not being ambitious enough, not following the rules. It's all kind of, Capricorn, it can be very powerful and very much about ambition and mastery. But the shadow of Capricorn is and as I know, having Capricorn in the first house and having Saturn in Capricorn, can be a great fear of not being enough, of never being enough. People see Capricorn as the responsible, organized, determined one, but the shadow of that is the fear of that. So whilst we're on the Capricorn, I will talk to the implications of the moon occulting a planet. And really, it's basically the moon blocks out the energy of that planet temporarily, quite fast. you know, because the moon is quite fast moving. So to remind you of those times again, the moon officially exactly occults Saturn at 11 p.m. and the moon actually officially occults Pluto exactly at 5:35 a.m. all times mountain time. And so what the moon is doing is passing in front of the planet from our perspective. So for this to happen, everything has to be on the same. I'm having trouble with my words with this Mercury, but the same height from the ecliptic as well as the same degree. Okay, so everything has to be lined, plane. There's another word, but it doesn't matter. You get the idea. Where it's basically we're standing here on Earth. There's the moon, and if you could see Saturn or Pluto with your own eye, when the moon is eclipsing it or occulting it, then you can't see it. Okay, so if you've got a telescope, you will not be able to see Saturn or you will not be able to see Pluto while the moon is occulting it. And the moon is occulting Saturn and Pluto every month this year, and that's really unusual. And I have to thank astrologer Linnea Horn for pointing this out to all of us. She did that work and shared it with all of us. But what it means is, if you think of an actual solar eclipse or a lunar eclipse, that planet's energy is being blocked out temporarily. An eclipse or an occultation is like a reset. It's an ending and a beginning, and it's happening every month this year. And I think, well, they're all powerful. We can look ahead a little bit at all of them if you like. I've got lots of time, so I hope you can. I hope you have. But, you know, this is going to happen again and again as Saturn and Pluto get closer together until, you know, the very beginning of next year, they actually conjoin exactly together and then Saturn moves on. So what's happening, especially because it's not just a lunar occultation, the moon rules the north node that's at the opposite point of all this energy. To my mind, what this is doing is it seems to me like the north node, the Cancer north node that I've talked about the energy of just, is calling us to really eclipse these old ways. You know, I have to laugh. I'm in a kind of current affairs discussion group here in Utah on Facebook, and this morning, you know, everybody was talking about parental leave and about how we can look after each other and help people to raise a new generation of amazing adults. And there's the school, which I see as very Capricorn. You don't have to agree with me on this, but this is just an example. Capricorn, personal responsibility, which I'm not against. You know, nobody's saying we're stopping people having any personal responsibility here. I mean, energetically. But we're saying we have to acknowledge the other side of it as well. What would it take? You know, we're not in the 50s anymore where the mothers stayed home with their children. So what would it take to shift our perspective from these patriarchal rules we've built up, where it's like it's all down to you. You choose to have a child, you pay for it, you do this, which I agree to a certain extent, but we've gone too far the other way, where it's just like everybody, you know, to live, you need both parents working and all this kind of stuff. We've got skewed it basically. So to my mind, the moon is crossing and eclipsing this. Saturn in Capricorn is the law, the rules, the father, the patriarchy, saying this is how it's got to be done. Okay. And then it's also occulting Pluto, saying, you know, let's Pluto's been digging up and transforming the patriarchy for a long time. Now the moon comes along that's ruling the North Node, and it comes along every month saying, okay, let's reset now, and then dig a bit more up every month. Does that kind of explain it, Barbara? With the occulting thing? It is literally eclipsing those energies every month. And I happen to think, you know, it's been doing it for a while. This one is very important to my mind. Not that the others are not important. And why is it really important? It's because of this. So I actually want to go ahead a month, and then I'll come back to today. So I want to go back to the moon kind of eclipsing again. You see, Pallas Athena will have moved back by next month. So we won't have this cross in the middle that I'll be talking about. So this occultation, this particular month, is actually triggering this grand cross that we have as well. So let's go to that energy. We have this goddess energy here, all squaring the nodes. I've talked endlessly about the energy of the number 23 being important. There's a whole lot on the internet about the 23 enigma, all these things. It's the numerologists say it's a very powerful number. 2 + 3 is a 5. No matter what else is around the number 23, the number 5 is a number of change. So we have a grand cross, which is what this is a number of change, is a configuration of change. It's in cardinal signs, so it's new beginnings. It's in Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn, which is all about identity. Aries, I am. Cancer, I am deep inside, or in the family, or in the home. In Libra, this is who am I in relation to the other, okay, and nature, that includes as well. And then Capricorn, who am I in relation to the world? Okay, so our whole identity is being shifted. Other things about the 23, for those of you that haven't read all my articles, we have 23 sets of chromosomes, 23 moving parts in the arm and hand. The number 23 just shows up again and again. Bring it down to a 5. We have, you know, if you think of the Vitruvian man, we have the arms, the legs, the head, 5 fingers, 5 toes on each hand. 5 and 23 are very kind of human, if you like. Okay, so we've got all this energy lining up around that 23 degrees in cardinal signs that's about our identity. And then last night we had the last quarter moon as well, which is always a crisis in consciousness. So yesterday, when I kind of decided to do this call today, I said we're having a crisis in both our consciousness and our values, and I'll talk about our values a little bit as well. But this is our crisis in consciousness around our identity as we move into this new paradigm. So my suggestions to you are to do, you know, to find a practice. I think a practice is really important at the moment. And what do I mean by that? Well, I've started Kundalini Yoga. Those of you that follow all my posts and know me well know that I found my yoga studio a couple of months ago, and I'm kind of hooked on the Kundalini Yoga, which has just drawn me right in, because it's the yoga of self-awareness and self-acceptance. And since the theme of my work is about deep acceptance, this of who you are, and self-awareness, the two are going like hand in glove for me. But a practice for you could mean a morning meditation. It can mean just, you know, a morning walk on your own where your head is cleared. It's just something, preferably in the morning, to kind of get your head straight. I think everybody really needs some kind of morning practice at this time more than ever. It can mean the morning pages, journaling, which is another favorite of mine. It can be another yoga form of practice, but to my mind, it has to be something that takes you in and really helps you to get centered in your own awareness and your own acceptance, because this will help you to move through this with courage, knowing that you can allow and surrender to the changes and really not get into this fear thing of, you know, the government's going to take away Obamacare and 27 million people will be without insurance. Well, you know, if that happens, I have utmost confidence that something will fill the void. Unfortunately, there may be some pain in the in the meantime, but I think we're being woken up to the fact that things have to be done differently because nothing has been working properly for a long time. So your Susanna says she's doing more body balance. Yeah, she has Moon 24 Libra, 6th house, and midheaven 21 degrees Cap. Yeah, well, it's Kundalini yoga for me. I have Uranus in Leo in my 8th house, which an 8th house is very kind of Kundalini kind of energy. I also have the Sun at 21 degrees Sagittarius in my 12th house, so that's very Pisces kind of energy. And I also have Chiron at 23 degrees Aquarius in my 2nd house. So yeah, I have 3 parts being hit. And it's funny that I was instinctively drawn. It's kind of funny. You've got the moon in Libra. You're doing the balance kind of thing with the Libra, and the and it's in the 6th house, which is Virgo. So that's very much kind of about the body as well, because it's an earthly sign, and your midheaven is an earth sign as well. And for me, it's kind of funny that it's my Kundalini 8th house, my 12th house, which is very Pisces, meditative, the muse, the mystery, and then my Chiron is the 2nd house, and the 2nd house, amongst other things, is the body. So, you know, I think if you tune in, though, you know, yes, you know, those of you that are my patrons, and those of you that are at the $25 a level month, I do have some spaces left if anybody wants to join. Get the mini reading every month, and I kind of help you to see where it is. But you know, at this point, if you're not ready to, you know, if you don't want to join me at $25 a month, that's fine, you know, but you can get the tune in anyway and see, what does my body need? Okay, what do I, you know, what would work best for me? Is it the walk? Is it the body balance? Is it the Kundalini yoga? Is it the stream of consciousness journaling? But do something to help you tune in, because this is tremendous change and shifting energy. So I'm just going to kind of flash forward a little bit. But does anybody have any questions to post in the chat while I do? I'm going to tell you what I'm flashing forward to in a minute. But, no questions, and that's fine too. Yes, you have a question? Do you want me to unmute or? Anyway, while I wait for Barbara to tell me what the yes means, I want to just point out how everything's kind of moving on a little bit. Pallas Athena will next oppose Eris, where she's opposing in this weekend, really. And she is wise justice in Libra. And Eris is really kind of shaking everything up. I think a great representation of who Eris is in this world is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Whether you like her or not, she's shaking the table. She's revealing, you know, the insanity and the craziness of it. This is her soul's purpose in this energy, I think. I don't know if anybody watched the whole Mike Lee thing yesterday. Mike Lee, our lovely senator from Utah, making an absolute mockery of the Green New Deal by telling lies about it, basically. But the fact she's bought the Green Deal proposal, which is not going to go ahead at this point, the fact she brought it into our awareness and then showed which brought them to create this mockery of it, to my mind, is Eris kind of revealing this kind of craziness and insanity and weird, wrong-headed thinking. If you didn't watch Mike Lee's video of him on the Senate floor with his pictures of Aquaman and things, it's kind of, and anyway. Just wondering, your opinion about Grand Crosses being comprised of only planets. I frequently hear about Grand Cross configurations that include other than planets. I'm not really. Can I unmute you? Is that okay? Can you talk? I'm going to unmute and you can say yes or no. Are you able to talk? I've unmuted you, Barbara. So I'm not really sure what you mean. I think the Grand Cross can include major asteroids and dwarf planets.
Okay, I was just curious because what I've been initially taught, and I've noticed in when I Google things, it seems like the rule is a Grand Cross is just planets only.
Well, it depends on the astrologer, the school of astrology.
So. Okay. I just wanted your opinion on that because it pertains personally to me. So thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing it evidenced, you know, this Grand Cross with Eris. I mean, and Eris is a planet, so she's a dwarf planet, but she's a new planet. Pallas Athena is really showing her face this year. So, you know, to quote, I can't remember Kai Pasha's exact words in his Pele report, that astrology is an art of, you know, kind of witnessing the effects and things and then carrying it forward. You know, a lot of old style traditional astrology is very stuck on, it's got to just be the original 7 planets. I don't agree.
Okay, thank you. I don't either, but I was just wondering what your opinion was. I thank you very much.
You're welcome. So yeah, I was going back to Pallas Athena. They will oppose each other again in, when it was that August, early August. But by then, and they will widely square Pluto, but Saturn will have gone retrograde that point, and will be moving back towards Pluto again, obviously, to join in January 2020. But kind of this weekend is the point where these two are squaring the nodes. And I think it's significant because they're strong, powerful, divine feminine, for want of a better expression, energy. And we are being moved to bring some more balance into, we're not being asked to, put down men necessarily, although there's some men need putting down, and I'll take great pleasure in doing it some days. But not all men. Some men are fabulous. I love my husband and my male friends, but it's that kind of patriarchal attitude, and it showed up, it's showing up in women too. On my Facebook yesterday as well, I shared a post about this new female representative in the Pennsylvania, I think it was, legislature. And she came on and did this prayer that was so Islamophobic. And she came on wearing this white gown, trying to look like Christ. And it was the most bigoted thing I've heard in a long time. She's getting hell for it. But so the kind of shadow of nastiness and detritus of the energy in the world is being revealed so much. And then the divine feminine energy is, let's bring in this balance. Let's acknowledge that, it's okay to care for people. It's okay to realize that we're all one big family. It's okay to support each other. But then we're seeing the nastiest side of it being brought out to be changed by these energies. I call Eris the revealer of artifice. Amongst other things, she reveals unfairness, and she rips down any kind of facade that is hiding all this crap beneath. And this is really what's happening right now. And this, I've not actually seen many astrologers really talk about this in great detail, and I'm sure there are. But I really kind of feel like this weekend is kind of one of the most intense ones overall of this year, because we've got this Mercury stationing on Neptune that rules Pisces, because we've got this Grand Cross perfecting at this number 23 that's so associated with the human body, and because the Grand Cross is in the signs of our personal identity, and also because the Grand Cross is to the nodes, and any squares to the moon's nodes are tipping points. They are points of change. So I think that's all I want to say. I think I did want to mention Lilith a little bit. Okay, she's going back and forth over this point in Aquarius. And we are moving into the age of Aquarius. So I don't think it's any kind of accident that she's over here. And, if we go forward hours today, she'll move backwards, but then she is really fast moving. So she's staying at 22. 22 is also a significant number for the next year, because that's where Saturn and Pluto will meet in January. And 22 is in numerology a master number. It's the double 11, so it's kind of a real gateway number to new things, if you like. Anyway, I think I've rambled on enough. I think I'm just going to make you all kind of like go, oh, but I did want to look at just over the weekend, because I don't do these kind of things over the weekend. Tomorrow evening, after most of the energy we've talked about, I think I mentioned the moon will trine Mars tomorrow evening. Mars in Taurus, and then go void for a very short time. Now the moon from Capricorn trine Mars, after all that energy, will kind of give us a little boost to kind of move forward. But then the moon will move into Aquarius at 7:46 p.m. tomorrow night. And we'll immediately, I'm going to point at some stuff in a second. We'll immediately start to make a square to Uranus, the ruler of Aquarius. And that's kind of going to jolt us a little bit too. But it also should make for a bit more social weekend at a kind of lighter level, if you like. Okay. And then the sun set on Saturday. The moon's pretty quiet, apart from it will move to sextile the sun. And let me go forward to Sunday. And then the moon will sextile Jupiter on Sunday evening. And Mars will move into Gemini. So let's go forward quickly to Sunday, because I want to take you through the weekend. But this energy we're under today is kind of really going to hold sway. But I do want to look at Sunday a little bit. Okay, because Mars moves into Gemini. Mars in Taurus. Mars doesn't love Taurus, because Mars is go, go, go. It's like I am. But Taurus is slow and likes to be deliberate and likes to sit and likes to, be in all its stuff and in the earth and in the world. And Mars likes to be gone. So Mars into Gemini kind of will lighten things up a little bit. The sextile from the moon in Aquarius to Jupiter in Sagittarius takes place later on Sunday evening, and that will kind of go, hey, lighten up your mind. And then we go into one of those long voids on Sunday evening into Monday morning, when the moon will move into Pisces and start to approach, you guessed it. So let's go to Monday. It will approach Neptune and Mercury. So bear with me. So here we are, Monday, April the Fool's Day. Oh, you could laugh. Okay. And the moon will approach first Venus. Thank goodness we have higher love Venus in Pisces. And then we'll approach Mercury and Neptune that are still joined at the hip, because they're still only a few astrological minutes apart. So this weekend, my lovelies, is a bit of a doozy, I have to say. Okay. So any more questions while you've got me? Please, please, please do some kind of practice. Please, anybody watching the recording, if you want more support with it, check out my $25 a month level on Patreon. My next new moon call for patrons is next Wednesday, and they all get a mini reading on their chart. I'll probably actually, if you are going to change to $25, I'm going to post it on this one. This one, I'm going to post it on Patreon, and I'm also going to post it everywhere. This one, because I think it's kind of important. The one I did 2 days ago is on Patreon. Yeah, it's already on there. Yeah. But what was I going to say? If anybody does decide to become a $25 a month patron to get the mini readings, I know, Barbara, so many videos, so little time for me too. Yeah. I would not do it probably till Monday morning, actually, because we're at the end of the month and you'll get charged for the whole of March. So if you do it on April the 1st, you get charged for April. So if you want to join me at the $25 a month level, we get 2 calls a month, 1 new moon with mini readings, 1 full moon with a kind of bit of astrology training and full moon ceremony. We also have a lovely private secret Facebook group for $25 patrons as well, so you can post and get to know each other and support each other. So if you're having a hard time with all these energies, consider doing that on Monday, on April the 1st. Don't do it today. You can join for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, whatever you want. You can join and leave as you wish. Yeah. So that's the delight with Patreon. You're not tied in to anything. You can up your levels or lower them according to how you feel and your money. You know, if you're going to join at the $25 level, I'd probably suggest staying in for 2 or 3 months at least. You know, because I get to know your chart. I get to know you. It kind of builds because awesome. That'd be. I'd love to have you, Susanna. You know, yeah. And if you really like the support for next month, you know, stay for a couple more months and see how it goes. Some people just have been there for quite a long time because it's a lovely supported group, but there's no obligation. That's why I love Patreon, for that reason, honestly. So, oh, I do remember you. I just didn't recognize you as Susanna. Of course I know you, Susie Holly. Yeah. Of course I do. So, but that's why I did Patreon like this. You know, it's obviously nice to get to know people over a longer length of time. But you know, if you can only manage a couple of months or whatever, it's good too. So, but I do have a limited number of places. When it's full, it's full. But there's some spares at the minute. So. And hi, Hillary. Yes, I saw you there. And you're welcome. I hope. Are you feeling better, Hillary? Health-wise, is it easing? And I did want to say, you know, we talked about Kaipacha's thing about bile and the liver and things like that. The kidneys have something to do with all this too. So anyway, you can message me and tell me how you're feeling. I know you weren't feeling very well. Yeah, I know. Kidney stones. Oh, thank God. I'm lucky enough not to have had them. I've got a dear friend. Yeah, I will hold your space, Susie. Yeah. But I have a dear friend who does Kundalini yoga, and she was recently in hospital for kidney stones too. And she had to change her whole diet. And it was kind of really hard for her because she does Kundalini yoga and is very much into health and things. She was very much into plant-based diets, and she used to eat tons of spinach. Spinach causes kidney stones if you're prone to them. Can you believe that? She's had to change her whole diet and actually go back to eating fish and things instead of being a vegetarian. And it's kind of tough. Yeah. So I've never had them, but I've known enough people who have them. And so we all send you love, but you can move beyond it too. Yeah, well, you know, some people are not prone to kidney stones, but I would be careful of having too much of any food, actually. You know, that's why I'm a bit wary of any of these diets that say go raw, go all vegetarian, go all this. You know, my mum used to go everything in moderation, and I used to go, well, turns out she was probably right. Well, all right, everybody, I'm going to get this uploaded. And yes, Susie, I look forward to seeing you on Monday, and we'll get you in the Facebook group then on Monday as well. So I do think there's going to be a few people need support as well. So if by any chance, you know, people listen to this recording and take the spaces, just message me, Susie, and I'll add another space for you on Monday. I don't think that's likely. I think there's enough space left. So I just could only do so many mini readings, basically. So that's why I limit the space. All right, loves. I'm going to have some lunch for myself. See you later. Good. Glad you enjoyed it.